So I'm recording again. All right, so now I talked about that part. Now, this gets a little time consuming, trying to repair each of the kids. There's no quick swash and it just repairs it. Because like I said, the computer doesn't see a code. The computer sees pixels. So what I'll do is I'll come over here and I can adjust my brush size. This is where you adjust your brush size on all things. I've got the softness pretty low. Now in this one, you'll notice I'm going to work straight on the layer because I'm going to do something else. I'm going to make the brush a little bit smaller. There we go. Now I'm going to try to get close to the tear so that the color matches. And I'm going to try to work right where I'm at, or right under it. So as I'm duplicating things like that dark spot, and see what happened? I went too low. So come back down here. And so I'm resetting my point periodically. One, so that I don't get an exact dupe of something that's noticeable. Because that's where the idea is. In these situations, you don't want anyone to know that you've been there, that you've done something and you are completely not part of the process. So this isn't really a creative thing. This is more of a materials, being aware of the way things work together kind of thing. Now, the other tool I want to talk about is the healing brush. Now you can see it's still there. It's a little dark, and it kind of smished it out a little bit. So I'm going to use the healing brush a little bit. Now the healing brush, what it does is, one, it doesn't need a hardness of that high. It doesn't need to be that big. All right, so what the healing brush does is it looks at the point that you set as the anchor point. So I'm going to set this point down here outside of the roughed up area. And then it compares and says, okay, what is the halfway point between these 2 points? Now, the other healing brush, the one that says spot healing brush, it does the same thing, but just on a bigger scale. And it does what's like a random selection between the 2 points. Now, it's very much hard to see when you're close up. And I usually pull from a couple locations. But as I zoom out, you'll see that dark spot has gotten much more reduced. I didn't touch the sleeve, I just touched the coat. So you can see the difference between those 2 points is slight, but when you're dealing with something like this, anything that is stark, anything that jumps out at you is what's going to hold your attention. Like duplicating that face, that becomes something that jumps out at you. So you'd want to take parts of that. Now, the goal here will be to take out the tear all the way across and this tear right here. Like I said, time consuming, there's nothing really to get wrong here. Like this kid's sweatshirt looks mad. Probably not one of his kids at light school. So I'm gonna go grab it. And you see that there's micro tears inside there. And I'm not stressing over those. And now the computer's decided to make me wait. So this guy's got buttons for days. Look at that. I don't know why it's doing that. Okay. Now, I wouldn't use the healing brush on every single thing. I don't really need it. Because a lot of these places, the pixels are so distorted, you can't really tell. So he's got sort of like some sort of smudge right there in the middle. Oh, wrong tool. Huh? Sitting here going, I just blew a hole in this kid. Yeah, see this one is it's sort of blurring up on me, so replicating. So this is more just getting a handle and control of these two tools. So yeah, extra credit would be colorizing the picture, that kind of thing. But as far as like getting the project complete, all I want you to do is work that tear out and that tear out. Any questions? Anything I've done that you didn't understand?
Professor, so the healing brush, it really just tries to get the pixels underneath and bring them to a higher saturation, or so it can blend more with the picture underneath of it, the healing brush? Because I know the clone tool, we're just cloning a section of the pixels and then putting them where we, want to, but the healing brush, does it see the pixels underneath?
So with the healing brush, there's a couple of things you can do. You can set it to the layers. You can do a lot of different stuff. You can set it to sample. But I can go with the healing brush. What it does is it basically looks at the pixels. So I set my anchor point and it looks at the pixels and it compares the 2 points.
Cool. Gotcha.
So it allows you to blend. So it's actually not bad for just using for like healing areas of sort of weird texture. But it creates enough random effect that it doesn't look, you don't get that weird sort of duplication that you'll get sometimes with the clone tool.
Clone tool, gotcha.
Yeah, but it's about blending. That's all that one's about. It's really about blending the two.
Okay, gotcha.
Who else got a question? All right, so on Canvas, what I've included, I'm going to put the videos up once I stop recording. I've got to get out of Zoom, and then once I'm out of Zoom, it processes them to the desktop. And so I'll add another link here. The repairing pictures, oh, that's the actual assignment, sorry. Where'd you go? There you are. Repairing photo. Now I found these. Now the first one basically takes you to a Photoshop site. It will allow you to, please note, Photoshop does not support opening, editing, banknotes, or currency. Yeah. So the cloning source, it talks about using the cloning tool, gives some details as far as how that works. Sample pixels are continuous, blah, 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 blah. All right, so gives you sort of a breakdown of those tools, and it goes into restoration, which is basically what we're doing. You would do this kind of work for like museums, retouching with the healing brush. This is like the idea of this girl I once knew. She worked at a photo studio that did yearbooks, and so you would pay a little extra to get your face touched up, and so she would healing brush like acne or scars or whatever, and so that's using the healing brush to touch that up. Spot healing brush, it talks about that, and then it goes through retouching cars in Photoshop. So I liked it because one, it's an Adobe source, so I know it's current. So that one's there. The next one, the next one's also from Adobe. But now this one goes into video and it goes into cropping and straightening the photograph, like I talked about in the beginning. Then correct color cast, which is what I did when I did go to layers. Da, da, da. All right, so this one goes through more creating color cast layer repair. My way is easier for black and white. And then just the Adobe photo retouching. And it's like removing small objects and stuff like that. So I included those links, and again, they all go to Adobe. So if you're not using Adobe, which is fine, the goal will be to adapt. And I think that skill is just as important in a lot of ways of when you get out in the real world, if you don't have access to something. I have a very strong belief system in when the client comes in and asks me if I can do something, the answer is always yes. I just can't do it today. And then I go and I figure out how to do it. And so if I don't have a certain software, if I don't have a certain tool, I will go out of my way to figure out how to do it with what I have. Again, graphic design and digital art, it's more about the finished image than it is about how you got there, as long as it's in the right format. So this is the project we're going to work on for today. This is your in-class project. It's due on Friday, so you've got time to work on it. Don't stress. I don't expect it by the end of class today. And all I'm looking for is that white line and the second white line. Now there's a couple of little ones in there and you can fix them. But practice with the cloning brush and the healing brush. Everybody with me? All right. So I'm going to get my videos back out. That's that as far as the project for the week. Now somebody this week asked me about doing something, and so I'm going to show y'all how to do it. It's not really where I would do this project, but the student was trying to figure it out, and so I just want to include it. So I'm just going to say File, New, and this is real fast. It has nothing really to do with what we're doing in class. 10 by 10. Now she went in and she created a path. That is really big. Now I'm going to tool anyway. I need a pencil. So a path is created using vectors. Now the thing is though, when she did this, she used the pen tool and it created a path, and it says path right up there. So she could have adjusted it and said shape, and then she would have drawn a shape. But if you drew a path, now let's say I want this path, I'm like, but I don't want to redraw it. You can go to your path palette and it's right there. Now, if I click off of it, it goes away. So if I go over here, it's gone. I mean, the path's there, but if I try to look at the image or print the image, there's nothing there. But if I want, I can come over here and just with the select tool, when I was using the layer select, I can click on the work path and it becomes an animated thing. So then I could just go back over here, create a new layer and say edit, fill with color, boom. Now, another solution would be before I start drawing with the pen tool, wherever it went, there it is, change it to shape. And then I'm going to actually draw out an actual physical shape. Now that will stay. You see it's on the layer and it's a shape layer, meaning that it's a vector. All right, does that help everybody? I just wanted to cover that real quick. All right, cool. All right, I'm going to stop recording.